To get the full course, visit www.zeedup.com.
Hello everyone. Today's topic is going to be about Angular. Before we dive deep into Angular and Angular material, we need to know some important topics. The first important topic is TypeScript. The reason why we are learning TypeScript is because Angular is based on TypeScript. If you don't know TypeScript, you won't be able to understand Angular and its material. So like all the other developers in the world, Microsoft developers used to use JavaScript. But JavaScript has some problems because when we write big scale applications or basically big application, it used to get complicated. They needed something that is scalable and that is TypeScript. JavaScript had some issues, but TypeScript helped improving it. TypeScript created by Microsoft developers. It was internal for 2 years, but they made it public in 2012. TypeScript, it's not like all the other languages, it is a superset of JavaScript. So here I'm on the page of TypeScript. So this is divided into 3 paragraphs. So basically, the first paragraph here tells us that TypeScript isn't a language, it is a superset of JavaScript. The only reason why I repeated this again because this is a really important thing that we need to do. The second thing is basically the explanation. That's the second paragraph. And the third paragraph, any browser, any OS, anyway JavaScript learn, entirely open source. What does this basically mean? It means that it can run on any browser, any OS, and it can be hosted anywhere. But technically, if we see, this isn't true because you need to download compiler and many more to run it. So now, when we go deep and scroll down, we get along the features page. So this is also divided into 3 paragraphs. The first one is TypeScript and more, a result you can trust, and gradual adoption. So let's discuss what does the first feature mean. So basically, this whole paragraph, it tells us that we have the ability to type anything of JavaScript in TypeScript. They both are almost the same, but it's just that TypeScript has some additional features. If you're familiar with JavaScript, then TypeScript is going to be really easy for you. So now, in the second paragraph, there's this keyword called type. Types is really important in TypeScript because you can define type of variable, different kind of data in TypeScript, but later you can't change type of variable unless you design a common type which is called any, A-N-Y. You can modify the data of any variable, but you can't change the type of variable. If you know JavaScript, you clearly know what I'm talking about. And in case you don't know, I'll explain you with an example. So for example, I've taken a number 5. I can change the number from 5 to 6, 6 to 7 because it is a numerical value. But I can't change it to hello world because it is not a string. So that makes us understand that there are some differences too. And along with that, it even shows us that TypeScript is more sustainable and maintainable. So this was all about the features. So this was all we had to know about TypeScript and the basic features. So now the next important part is setting up TypeScript. While setting up the TypeScript, we'll be using Node.js. It doesn't play a major role here, but we'll need NPM. NPM is Node Package Manager. It is the most famous package manager for the JavaScript library so far. As I've already told you, TypeScript is the superset of JavaScript. And for that, we need to be using NPM. So we'll just go to the Node.js page. For NPM, you'll need to install Node.js. That's the reason why we are here. You can even go through the documentation that is with this page. So basically, in my computer, I have already installed Node.js. The process of installing Node.js is really easy and it automatically detects the updated feature for your current PC. For my PC, it's going to be 14.12.0. So as I told you, NPM is already installed in my computer. So once you're done with the installing, go to your command prompt. I use Hyper since it's really easy for me to use. So you can just go to any command prompt that is installed into your PC and just type npm space version. I would suggest you to type the whole word, or you can even type v minus minus. It would take a few seconds, and then you get the latest version that's installed in your PC. Once you're done with this, you know that npm is already installed, and if it shows some error, please go to the documentation and see where the mistake has been done. So once you're done with this, the second thing that we're going to do is we're going to install TypeScript globally. For that, the syntax is npm install -g, since we're installing it globally, as I told you, and then type TypeScript and click enter. Writing hello world in .ts extension. So for that, open any code editor that you use. I'm using Visual Code Editor, so I'll use that. To write hello world in TypeScript, we first need to write a file in .ts extension. So add a new file with script.ts extension. So here, I need to write something that will behave like a TypeScript. Then we need to create one more file that has a HTML format. So index.html. So in the index.html file, I would write the basic syntax. I'll write the title right now as TypeScript. Inside the body tag, now I'll just put welcome everyone. Then save it. Once you save this, we need to link the HTML file with the TS file, but that is not going to happen. So now let's go to the .ts file. Suppose if I need to write something in JavaScript, this is the basic format. For the people who have learned JavaScript, they'll know this. I'll just give my string as hello world. Console.log str. So this is the basic syntax of a JavaScript file. But now let's convert this file into a JavaScript, since this is in .ts, that is TypeScript extension. Make sure you're in the right folder while doing this. First, save the file. Once you save the file, go to the new terminal. Make sure you're in the correct file. And run this command called tsc and the name of your file with .ts extension. We use tsc to call the compiler and to compile the file. So you will notice that a .js file here is created. As I've already told you, TypeScript and JavaScript are almost the same at the end of the day. The only difference is that the JavaScript can be written in TypeScript, whereas the TypeScript can't be written in JavaScript because JavaScript does not require compiling, whereas TypeScript requires compiling. Now, go to the script.ts file. For the people who are new to TypeScript, they'll know that we use colon and string. This is the syntax for using a file in .ts extension. The string here is the type of variable, whereas str is the variable name. so that you don't get confused. Once you save this and you compile the file again, you'll notice that there's no difference between these two files. So that we don't get confused, I'll change this hello world again and I'll save the file again. And compile it. You'll notice that in both the files, only the name, the string that we added got changed here too. The first half, that is st:(s string, was not added in the JavaScript file because it is only present, this feature is only present in the TypeScript file. So now go to the index.html file. Now we need to add the JavaScript here. So it's not necessary, but I'm doing this to run the browser and to show you the output. So for adding it here, script src is equal to script.js. No, JS. Make sure that you don't get confused between TS and JS. Once you save this, compile it again with the same command. Now go to the browser. So once we reach the browser, we see that we have got the welcome everyone. Since here we are not able to detect any JavaScript or TypeScript file, we go to the inspect option, then we go to the console. So here we see a file called script.js. Remember, it's coming from the JavaScript file and not the TypeScript file. I repeat it again, it's coming from the JavaScript file and not the TypeScript file, because TypeScript needs to be compiled into JavaScript to give us the result. Types in TypeScript. In this video, we'll talk about types in TypeScript. One important point that you'll need to remember is there are no integers in the JavaScript as well as the TypeScript. We can directly call the number as number. So how to this work with a number? Go to your script.ts file. There you can first type the var, then num1, then number, that is the type of your variable, is equal to 10. Always remember that the number never comes in the strings. So here, if we type it inside the string, it will show us an error. So this is the correct syntax. Suppose we need to add a number now. For example, now I want to add 10 plus 10. So first I'll change this to var string1. The syntax is string is equal to 10 plus 10. Then console dot log str1. Now I'll add it, that is num1. The type is number is equal to 10 plus 10. Then I'll console.log it. Would you get then yeah. Now you're supposed to save this. Go to your terminal as I have shown you. Make sure you're inside the directory. Then type esc script.ts. Yeah, once this is done, go to your browser and you will find that the result is, go to the console.log. No, go to the console page using inspect. Then go to the console. You see here hello world again. There's an error. Inspect. No, wait, I forgot to refresh this. And go to your console. You see 10 plus 10 is equal to 20. So the first instruction here is in the form of a string. So the string is present here, and then the second half, that is the result, is in the form of a number, which means that it has done the arithmetic operation here. So similarly, if I want to display 100, so I'll just make this as into, and I'll just make this as, I'll just write this as multiply 10 2 times. Save this, then again terminal. Yeah, now go to your browser, refresh it, you see multiply 10 2 times and then the result. Always remember, whatever is inside the string is displayed as it is, and whatever is here forms the arithmetic operation. And just remember, inside the string, you can't perform any arithmetic operations. So these are the two types right now. Type 1 is string, type 2 is number. Now the third type is var boolean. So boolean always can have two values, either a true or a false. Okay, I'll just console log this. And change this to bool1, and then I will just change this to bool2. I'll save it. And always remember, the true and false, they don't require any single or double quotes. So when I go to my browser, I can see true, I can see false. These are the three types. Now I'll go to the type 4. The type 4, we have, instead of boolean here, we have void. Okay, and the type void is used for non-returning function. So if I don't want to return a function, a void is used, and this is the syntax for void. We use this when we make a function and don't want to return anything. This is usually not used much, so I'll just delete this. Yeah. And the type 5, as I told you, it is null and undefined. Okay. Null is used for nullifying something, or it's already defined and we don't use it, and undefined means it's not defined. We'll talk about these two later. Okay. So now this was all about types in TypeScript. So now the next topic is functions in TypeScript. So without wasting time, the main thing I'll tell you is how to display a hello world using functions. Okay. And I'll even tell you how functions got extended in TypeScript. So now I'll just clear everything. Okay. And for the people who already know JavaScript, they'll be really familiar with this. So first I'll write the function, and I'll just call a function fun, then the parenthesis, then two curly brackets. Now after that I need to call the function. So I'll use fun. Yeah. So this is used for calling the function. And now if I just want to display hello world, I'll just write console.log, and inside this I'll just write hello. Okay, so when I just save this and refresh it in the browser, first I'll run it on my terminal. This is done. I'll go back to my browser. I refresh it. I can see I just did a hello world using functions. So this is all about functions and TypeScript that we learned today, types in TypeScript. So I'll see you in the next lecture. Thank you.